everyone, Willow Wishwalker here, and today we are doing something a little bit different other than Wizard 101. I am on my Quotev profile, and that is because we are going to be doing a reading of a book I've been working on for the past 3 weeks called The Blackwood Dynasty. The summary is: stricken with the loss of their leader, the Blackwood dynasty is in disarray as it's in desperate need of a new hierarchy. Will Corvus, the son of Cordelia Blackwood, be able to live out his mother's wishes or collapse under his sister's ideas for the future of the family? So that there is the summary of the book. I will say, warning right now, I am not going to be reading the book myself because my brain decides to read faster than the words can come out of my mouth. So I'm just going to have the system read it for me. But I will say I will read, like, the chapter titles and all that. So, Anyways, without further ado, let's get on into it. The Passing of Cordelia Blackwood.
I walked into the bedroom, seeing my wife sitting at her vanity as she was applying makeup and adjusting her silver-hooped earrings. "Are you almost ready, my dear?" I asked under a grumble of annoyance at the events that recently took place. "Almost. Don't worry too much, hun." She turned around, giving me a small smile. It wasn't that I was worried about being on time or anything, but because of the request. Going to my mom's estate. She's been dead for a month, and the last time we talked to each other was a year ago. What could that woman want beyond her gravestone? "Trust me, I'm fine." My sentence trailed off as I looked in the distance of the room at a picture that hung on the wall. It was of my mom and me when I was about 6 or 7. A smile came across my face, reminding me of the good memories before Mom grew cold and cruel. I stood in front of the picture, reminiscing. "Okay, we're going to be late if we don't leave soon." I turned around and saw her holding the handle of her purse, ready to leave. We headed downstairs and came into the living room, our children all ready to leave as well. "I wonder why Grandma Cordelia wants us at her mansion." Lilith, our eldest daughter, spoke up as we all headed out the door. "Well, whatever it is, it must be important to the family dynasty." Thorn, our eldest and only son, stated. "I'm just glad we get to go to her mansion, it's been so long, and I miss it." Scarlett chimed in with a hopeful tone. Along with our youngest daughter, Indigo, nodding in agreement. It took us about 15 minutes to get to the estate. The taxi came to a stop as I paid the driver, giving him my mom's family card as we all climbed out. As we headed for the main entrance, I became more overwhelmed, starting to sweat as I looked at all the cars parked outside. "It's been such a long time since the family gathered like this," I said, fanning myself. "I know, Dad," Lilith said, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Let's go in before someone comes to get us." I nodded as we all headed into the house, a big family reunion about to happen. "What's so important about the family dynasty anyway?" Indigo asked, a sense of disgust in her tone. "To answer that, I don't know," I responded. "The last time I saw my mom, she was all nervous and saying stuff like how the family really needed her around. We hadn't talked in a while before she passed away, and I figured the family needed to move on, live their lives, and be happy." I heard a few people cough and whisper among each other as we entered the foyer of the mansion. It felt like a club, people packed in tight spaces. From familiar faces of relatives I knew to friends and strangers I had never seen before. The voices were loud that the walls were vibrating. "My dad's here," my daughter Scarlett said as I turned around and saw a blonde woman dressed in a light blue dress come towards us. She put a hand on my shoulder and gave me a small, comforting smile. "Hello, Corvus," she spoke. I could feel my face pale when I looked into her eyes, the same eyes that I looked into all those years ago. As she and I locked eyes, a great pain went through my chest, a great emptiness I couldn't even recognize. "Hello, Aurora," I managed to utter. "It has been a long time." She seemed okay, for the moment. "If you'll follow me, we can get this over with." I followed her out of the foyer and through the house. The foyer was just the first part of the house. It took us to the front sitting room, where she had an armchair waiting for me. It felt surreal to be staring at the same chair I saw many years ago when Mom first brought me here. "Have a seat," Aurora said, motioning to the chair. I sat down, getting comfortable. I wanted to ask so many things, but my mouth refused to open. "I don't mean to be rude, but why is a family reunion happening now?" I asked, still unable to form words. "I know it's hard to believe, but there is a reason. It's a tragedy since Mom passed away," Aurora sighed, letting the silence hang over us. "I've been hoping to get everyone to come together like this again. It's been a few years since we did, but things kept getting in the way," I nodded, giving her a small smile as she stood up and looked me straight in the eyes. "I think we should get started." I stood up too and followed her to the grand staircase in the main room, which had even more people in there than the foyer. The moment we entered the room, the music that played through the speakers in the room began to change to a slower tune, then trailed off as the music stopped. Grabbing an empty wine glass and spoon, Aurora led herself to the top of the staircase. As she faced the crowd, which was still a room of chatter, even with the music off. Ping, 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 the crowd went silent as Aurora chimed the spoon against the wine glass, everyone turning to her newfound attention. "I know everyone has enjoyed their time of reunion, but we must get to the importance of why we've all been gathered here today," she said this, leaning over the railing. "The last time we all got together was at the final gala, 7 years ago. She passed away before we got the chance to say goodbye." I watched as people glanced at each other, sharing a few whispered words. Aurora placed her glass on the railing, clearing her throat and continuing. "Since then, we've all been dealing with her death, including my father, who is not doing much better, so this is the perfect opportunity to finally say what we must do moving forward. We need a new leader in this dynasty." With that, Aurora looked around at each person before finally turning to face me. "Corvus, would you be so kind as to get that VHS tape Mother left behind?" she asked, throwing me an endearing smile. I nodded as a television was wheeled out in front of the crowd. "Here you go," I said. The screen would turn on once the tape was popped into the player to show a younger version of my mom. I recognized the voice as her own. The younger version of her began to tell her story. I watched as Aurora slowly made her way down the stairs and through the crowd. After she came by my side, I was no sooner fixated on the video that played. I know that the day will come when I leave this dynasty, and that is why I sit here today, recording this video for the family. Take this as a will to leave my part in the dynasty and pass it on to someone greater. My legacy may be living on through my son, but once I pass away, a new golden age will begin here. And it is time for me to pass the reins to a worthy successor. The time has come for my son to be held accountable for his actions. With that, the screen cut to black, and the remaining crowd's murmurs filled the air once more. My mother was a wise woman. She knew the story had to be written, no matter how hard or awkward that might be, I said, looking at Aurora. "But why me?" I asked. And Aurora smiled at me once more. "Because you know what you're doing and you know where to start. This is your story, not mine. And I want this dynasty to continue just like Mom wanted, not to mention you are the oldest of the two of us," she said this, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. And don't worry, Corvus, you'll have a full chance to make your own path and leave your mark on this dynasty, even if that means taking some risks. Aurora's words hung heavy in the air, as if I had just been drowned in the deepest oceans. Taking a deep breath, I met my sister's gaze. I need time to think, I said, my voice low but firm. This is a lot to process, and I wouldn't be doing anyone, myself included, any favors by making a rash decision. Aurora nodded, understanding etched on her face. Of course, she said. Take all the time you need. But remember, the dynasty needs a leader, and Mom trusted your judgment for a reason. Don't keep the family waiting too long.
And there you have it. That there was a reading of my book, The Blackwood Dynasty. I've worked really hard on this book, and I hope it gets at least some viewers reading it. Fun fact, all these pictures that you see throughout the book, I have actually made myself. So I've put quite a lot of detail into this book. At least I have tried to. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that first chapter. I can't wait to get the other chapters out. Yes, I do have more chapters in this book. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.